Hey, welcome back friends, TechTail here. Today I want to go over the Warriors Guild with you guys. So first up, requirements to even participate in the Warriors Guild or to enter it in the first place. You do need to have a combined total of 130 between your attack and your strength. This is a very melee focused guild. It's essentially the equivalent of the Magic and the Range Guild just for melee obviously. And you need either combined 130, so 65 in both stats, not horribly hard to get to, or you can get a 99 in one of the stats, and then I guess less than 31 levels in the other. That's obviously an inefficient way of doing this. Just get 65 in both attack and strength, and you should be able to have access to the Warriors Guild here. So, there's a couple things that you are going to want to do here. First off, you are going to want to collect tokens. The tokens up at the top left, you will see whenever you enter the Warriors Guild. There are 5 different activities that you can do to collect tokens. I will go over each of those activities and kind of explain what you do for each of these activities. On the top floor, there are some Cyclopses that you can kill to get the Dragon Defender. Dragon Defender is going to be the best defender you can get from here, and it is a prerequisite to getting a tier 90 defender in the long run. So if you are ever going to be going and doing some high-level PVM that you're going to potentially want to be using Revenge or any of the other defensive abilities, while still having a pretty good attack bonus at the same time, this is one of those things that you should probably get on your account. Also, the Dragon Defender is a requirement for one of the Master Clue Scrolls. So if you're going to be doing any Clue Scrolls in the future and you're going to be looking into getting some Master Clue Scrolls done, you will be needing to get the Dragon Defender. So go ahead and check this guide out to see exactly how we get into it. Okay, so first up is going to be the animation room. The animation room, essentially you're going to need 3 pieces of armor. You're going to need a rune plate body, a rune plate legs, and a rune full helm. You can do this with lower tier equipment if you are really struggling to kill the animated armors, but I would just recommend using rune. They're really easy to kill. You do have to use melee, just to note. And they are weak to crush if you are struggling with killing these, but honestly, if you're 65 attack and 65 strength, this should be not a problem at all to kill these guys. Obviously, I'm overkilling them, and I'm killing them extremely quickly because I have high tier weapons. But it's still the fastest way, even if you are using like tier 70 equipment. This is going to be the fastest way of getting any specific token type. As you can see, I already have like 600 of them. I've been doing this for like maybe 3 minutes max. Very, very fast and very easy. One thing to note though is you are going to want more than one set. It is very rare with rune, but with the lower tier equipment, it's more common that a piece of the equipment actually gets broken when you are attacking the armors. So just bring at least like 2 sets of it. I personally brought 5 just in case. I didn't know exactly the rate that they would potentially break at. But I just wanted to make sure that I had enough for this guide. So just bring a couple extras just in case if something does break while you are battling the animated armors. Okay, so the next room is going to be the dummy room. The dummy room is a little bit complicated when you first start, but it gets pretty simple if you just think about it a little bit. So you're going to need 3 different types of weapons. It doesn't matter what tier weapon you have, but you are going to need 1 slashing weapon. I personally just have the Noxious Scythe already on my inventory, so I decided to keep that. Anything that slashes is fine, a scimitar or basically anything that slashes. Next up is going to be a stabbing weapon. This is going to be something like a dagger. I have the Crossy Sword because I just happen to have that in my bank. Again, doesn't matter what tier. You could use a bronze dagger for all I care. And the last one is going to be a crushing weapon. I personally picked a pickaxe because, again, already had it in my bank. But if you don't have a pickaxe, then a maul or a hatchet is going to be fine. Um, Essentially, each of these dummies have a specific weakness, and you're going to want to utilize those weaknesses to actually hit them. If you hit them with the wrong amount or wrong type, you do get stunned momentarily. But it's pretty simple because the dummies don't really change where they are. So that means every single slot has a designated style, essentially. These 4 to the left here, every single one of these are going to be stabbing, as well as this one right here. So these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are all going to be stabbing dummies. You want to stab them with whatever your stab weapon is. The top 2, top left, or sorry, the top right corner, the top two right slots are both going to be slashing. You are going to want to switch to your slashing weapon and then hit both of these top two whenever they pop up. And the last and final one, this one right here, the bottom right corner is going to be a crush. So you're going to want to crush it with whatever your crush weapon is. This kind of just becomes rudimentary. I would recommend putting them on your action bar so that you can just quick switch without actually having to like scroll over to the weapon. And obviously the weapons are going to be moving around because you're going to be constantly switching the weapons, so it's going to be hard to keep track of which weapon is in which place, and these dummies pop up and down pretty quickly, so just put it on your action bar really quick, that way you know, okay, stab is on number 2, click number 2, and then click the dummy really quick. If you already have the stabbing weapon in your hand, obviously you don't need to switch it, but for slashing and for the crush, you most likely will be active switching every single time you get one of these top two for slash or the bottom right corner for crush. It's pretty simple. Seems a little bit complicated, but it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. Okay, so we're moving up to the second floor for the Catapult Room. First thing you're going to want to do is get a defensive shield from Gamfred here. You're just going to right click and say claim the shield. I already have one in my inventory, so I do not need to do that. Second thing is make sure you do not have anything in your weapon slot or your defensive slot. Doesn't matter what else you're wearing. So what you're going to do is click on the defensive shield. It should let you equip it. And then as soon as you stand on this, you are going to have to start defending against whatever kind of style of attack the catapult is throwing at you. So one thing I would recommend is kind of zooming in a little bit. That way it's a little bit easier to see which type is actually coming at you. If you are super zoomed out, it's kind of hard to see the difference between a stab and a blunt. They're both black things running at you. The other two are pretty easy because one's silver, one's goldish colored, but the blunt and the stab look very similar. And then you just kind of click on whichever defense you actually want to defend against. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but if you do get a chain of 2 or more of the same type in a row, you do not need to re-click the defense. So if I get another magic attack directly after this, it would already be defending against the magic attack, so I wouldn't actually have to switch. Um, Unfortunately, it is completely randomized. I could be sitting here forever and never see 2 in a row, or I could get 10 in a row that are exact same type, and I just don't have to click at all. You do take a little bit of damage if you do get hit by the item. It's not really consequential, but you kind of want to avoid messing up as much as possible. Obviously, that does slow down the amount of points you're going to be getting per hour as well. You shouldn't be having to do this for too long, honestly, if you do choose to do it, though. It's pretty quick. You get like 4, I believe, points every single time that you defend against something successfully. So very fast and very easy minigame. It's just kind of paying attention is the hard part sometimes when you get a little bit distracted by something else and something is flying at you from the catapult. Next up we have the shot put room. This is as well on the second floor. It's all the way to the east. And essentially all you do is you just pick up the shot put, and it's going to give you the option of 3 different ways to throw it. You need to do a standing throw, a step and throw, or a spin and throw. I personally always just do the spin and throw because it tends to throw you the furthest, and honestly it doesn't fail almost ever anyway. The disadvantage to the spin and throw is that it will fail the throw more often and land on your foot, but honestly with 99 strength I'm not really having any problems. If you are lower strength level, this may be an issue. You may have some problems with this room, but honestly just kind of adapt, figure out which one you want to do. There are 2 different styles of shots. There's a 22 pound to the south and a 18 pound to the north. So if you're having a problem with the 22 pound, just switch over to the 18 pound, not a big deal. This is the second fastest way of getting points, and you also do not need any of the armors to get points from this. As you can see, I did fail there. So if you don't feel like going and pick up any armors, this is going to be the second fastest way of getting the points. Really quick though, as you can see I'm getting like 30-40 points every single time I throw it. I think you can get up to 90 points per throw. This is obviously going to be extremely rare. You must be doing 22 pound shot. Get a perfectly thrown ball all the way to the end. That's going to rarely happen, but if you do, there's just a lot of points to get really quickly through here. The only thing that's faster is the animated armors, but you obviously do have to have the armors to utilize that. Okay, so the last and final room is going to be the keg room. Essentially with this, you just want to pick up some kegs and bounce them on your head. That is the only point of this room. It's a bit silly. You are going to want to get your weapon, your gloves, and your head unequipped just so that you can balance these kegs in your head. And you do pick up the 5 kegs. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the best way to do this is kind of just to make a circle with the kegs, and you want to balance as many of them as you possibly can. On the top, you'll see that it wants you to tag all sorts of stuff just to get a little bit of extra strength experience. This is completely unnecessary, and I would personally recommend just skipping it. It isn't really worth the amount of strength experience you're going to get, and it just makes the game more frustrating, and it already is pretty frustrating because you're dropping kegs on your feet. I do want to try to get up to 5 kegs here so that I can show you guys what that kind of is like. The only thing that matters with whether or not you actually continue to balance the kegs is your run energy. Run energy is regenerated at a faster rate than you are actually draining it with this mini game, assuming that you have 99 agility. So it's kind of irrelevant, the whole run energy thing. If you do have lower agility level, you may actually want to take a bath in the salt bath in Uglog just so you can continuously have 100% run energy. But realistically, that shouldn't really be a problem for most people. And as you can see, once you get 5 kegs on your head, just kind of stand there. Every single time you get that XP drop, it is increasing the amount of tokens you're getting. You do not need to tag any of these. If you want to, you can. It's very minimal amount of strength experience, probably not worth your time, honestly. Just run around and put some kegs on your head, and then once you get 5, just stand there. That's it. And now we get to the fun part, getting our Dragon Defender. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is actually have the lower tier defender in your inventory. So when you get the first defender, your bronze defender, make sure it's still in your inventory. Otherwise, you will have to continuously get bronze defenders forever. Just if you make sure it's in your inventory, she will recognize that it's there when you enter the door and will make the Cyclopses start dropping the next tier up. So you do have to go through all the tiers. So it goes bronze, iron, steel, etc. Same as the rune or the smithing, the way smithing works, all the way up to dragon. If you do not actually have the defender, when you enter the room, it will automatically just start using bronze instead of the next type. So like I said, just make sure the defender is in your inventory, and she will give you a little spiel saying, oh hey, I realize that you have it in your inventory, and I'm going to start dropping a higher tier defender for you. So when you are about to enter here, you do have 2 options. There is the option to use a single type of token. Obviously, the best type to use is going to be the combat token because the animator is going to be the easiest one to do. If you don't actually feel like getting the rune armor set for whatever reason, you can actually use the strength tokens instead. That's a shot put room, and the shot put room is extremely fast as well, so either of those work if you want to just use a single type. If you do want to get a slightly better rate of getting the defender, you can use all the different types of tokens, so that means you're going to have to do all 5 of these activities, and you are going to have a decent amount of tokens of each type. This is going to reduce the amount of tokens that you are using per hour, but on the other hand, a lot of them are slower. A lot of the types like Defender is extremely slow to get points at. So all in all, this is probably going to be the slower way of collecting points, but if you just want to do this for a little bit of fun, you can do it this way, and that means you're going to have to kill a few less Cyclopses. If you're actually really low level, this is probably going to be your best option because, first off, you're going to get a lower rate of some of these tokens. These 3 top tokens that I have a lot of, you're going to get a slower rate of getting them just due to the fact that you have lower levels. And the defender and the attack one is actually pretty easy to do. And you're also going to need to be in this room for longer because you need more time to kill all these Cyclopses. So I would recommend at lower levels, or like if you just got 130 attack and strength combined, to use all types of tokens. But then once you get to the higher levels and you can slay these Cyclopses extremely quickly, just switch over to the single type of token. Obviously, if you do have all types of tokens, I would recommend just doing that instead because it is going to be an increased chance of getting Dragon Defender, so go ahead and do that. And you all also have a chance of getting a Cyclopsis. Basically, the Cyclopsis gives you an even better chance of getting the Defender, so it's just going to increase your chance of getting the Defenders, assuming that you do use all types. I will use all types here. to just kind of show you exactly how it works. Basically, you just power slay these Cyclopses as quickly as you can. Due to the fact that I already have the Dragon Defender in my inventory, you should get the Dragon Defender pretty quickly. It doesn't take too long to get Defenders most times. Some people do get extremely unlucky here, and you have to spend a couple hours, unfortunately. It is a random drop, so that is a chance. Just be aware that you may have to go back and get some more tokens. Typically, like 200 to 300 of each type is going to be more than fine. If you do obviously use multiple tokens, one of the benefits was that everything gets noted, so you can pick up all the drops if you do that. Otherwise, you may just want to leave the drops like I'm doing. There's nothing really much worth collecting here. No really good loot. And as you can see, I'm getting a little bit unlucky with how quickly I'm getting the Defender here. Typically, I tend to get one between 5 to 10 kills, but it just depends on your luck. All in all, this should be the quickest way of getting the Defender, though. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below if you do, so that you can see all my future content. Also leave a like, and if you have anything to say, like your extreme unluckiness with getting the Defenders, kind of like I'm doing right now, go ahead and leave a comment down below. As always, though, have a good one.